The bread of life. There is something that people all over the world eat. Think about it. Sometimes it's long and skinny, or round, or even a rectangle. It has different names like naan, chapati, pita, tortillas, and bagels, but it's all the same. Yes, it's bread. Here's the fourth story Jesus told about himself. Here he used something really familiar, bread, to help people know more about him. Jesus shared a lot of meals during his life. He ate meals at home with his family. He ate meals on the road with his friends. He ate fish on the beach after his friends brought in the day's catch. He ate meals at parties and weddings. He even made sure that they had wine to keep the party going. And there are more stories about Jesus feeding people, stories you have read in this book. Which ones do you remember? After feeding a very large crowd with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, Jesus was talking with his disciples. They were trying to figure out how God wanted them to live. They asked Jesus, "What does God want from us? And what kind of things are you doing that will help us know how we are to live?" They remembered stories they passed down from their parents and their grandparents. We know that many years ago, after they left Egypt, people were hungry in the wilderness. We have been told that God fed them with manna, bread that came from heaven. Jesus said, "You are right. God fed them bread. God gave them life." And then it was like a light went off for the disciples. They told Jesus, "We want bread like that." Jesus looked at them and smiled. He said, "I am the bread of life. I am the nourishment that feeds you. I am the force that gives you life. Anyone who follows me will not be hungry. If you listen to what I am saying and do what I have been teaching, you will not be thirsty. Everyone whom God sends will come to me, and I will turn no one away." Jesus let his friends think about what he said for a few minutes, and then they started walking again.
Hey friends! So this week we get to talk about one of my favorite things, bread. It's so good. Did you ever realize after reading this story just how many stories there are about bread and water and food and drink in the Bible? Some of Jesus' miracles are around food and water. Think about it. You have the feeding of the 5,000. You have Jesus turning water into wine. Jesus even stills a storm of water and walks on top of water. Jesus even decides to spend his last night on earth eating bread and drinking wine with his friends. This last one, of course, we know as communion. So, needless to say, there are a lot of stories about bread in the Bible. But why? And what does Jesus even mean when he says, "I am the bread of life"? Well, let's think about it. What does bread and water do for our bodies? Bread fills our tummies when we're hungry. Water makes us feel refreshed and keeps us hydrated. They both nourish our bodies. And when we say that something nourishes our bodies, we mean that it keeps us alive. It's good for us. Bread and water keep us alive. They give our bodies the important vitamins and nutrients they need to keep growing strong. So when we hear Jesus say, "I am the bread of life," what he is really saying is, follow my ways because I have the nutrients and the vitamins that will help you find love and peace and happiness throughout your life. I know the way. Jesus wants us to feel full of love, of peace, and of happiness all the time. Jesus is the bread for our spirit. But Jesus also knows that sometimes we lose our way when things get hard to handle, right? Sometimes we're sad, sometimes we get angry, maybe we're even confused about how we feel or how to get along with one another. And that's okay. Jesus knew this, And that's actually one of the reasons why he decided to spend his last night on earth with his friends over a meal. He wanted to show them with his words and actions how important it was to share and be together, to have meals together. In the Gospels, we hear Jesus say to his friends, "Take, eat this bread, do this in remembrance of me." You have maybe heard pastors say this in services as well. He tells us to remember, which means he probably knew we would sometimes forget. What is important is that we know how to get back to the life-giving nutrients of Jesus. And how do we do that? Well, follow the bread and water stories. Share what you have with those who have less, like in the feeding of the 5,000. Bring your love and joy to the party, like Jesus did at the wedding in Cana. Sit with friends who are sad and in storms of their own until they feel better. Hear how everyone is doing. Listen. Make time to have meals with one another. Catch up. Remember that there's community being made over meals. That's what's important. It's a chance to catch up. It's a chance to hear how everyone's doing. And remember that we all deserve to feel full in our tummies and in our hearts. That's what the stories are telling us. That's the nutrients that Jesus is trying to offer us. So when in doubt, always go back to having bread and meals together. That's where it all started. So let's go make people feel full of Jesus' love this week in any way we can. Right? Amen.